ID is a CSS selector that allows the styling of a single, unique element. Their use in CSS is common, but often a little controversial. I personally avoid ID for styling things in CSS, but I'm not going to force my personal preference on you. In this video, I'll outline some of the reasons why I prefer the class selector over ID, how CSS specificity works, and some tips for writing more modular and reusable code. Let's start with the basics and look at how ID can be used to select an element in CSS. Given this series of divs, if I wanted the third one to be a feature box, I could add an ID attribute to the HTML as follows. This is a unique identifier, a bit like your passport number or social security number, and there can be only one with this value on any given page. With the ID attribute added to the markup, this can be selected in CSS using the hash symbol, which outside the UK is sometimes called the pound sign. Now we know how to use the ID selector, let's look at why I don't use them. I'll outline two key reasons why I avoid using the ID selector in CSS. They are single use, and they introduce specificity issues. One of CSS's strongest weapons is the class selector, which allows you to style multiple things multiple times with a single block of code. I often use the class of box in the code demos of this tutorial series to apply generic text styling and colour to elements on the screen so you can see what's going on. I can reuse this class as many times as I need and can apply it to a whole host of different elements. The class selector doesn't care what element you put it on. If I had div ID equals box, I could only use this once. If I've gone to the trouble of tapping out a whole load of CSS, I at least want the option of using it again. Thinking in reusable blocks can help you break down lots of CSS into smaller chunks that have more likelihood of being reused. To make your code more modular, consider breaking things down into separate classes for structure and the look and feel. We could have a reusable button component with the following structural styles. We could then create a series of modifier classes that allow us to create a range of different buttons for use throughout a project. These modifier classes can then be added to the markup as needed to build the whole component up out of many smaller pieces. Specificity determines what styles get applied and when. When writing CSS, things that come further down the style sheet tend to override things that have been declared above them. Take this code snippet for example. The second set of styles override the first. In this second snippet, what colour text will the box have? The text will be white, because although the class selector comes after the ID selector, the ID is a more powerful selector. How about now? The text is still white. This is due to how specificity is actually calculated. Take this horrifically complex selector. Please never write anything like this. This will style the hover states of any links in a submenu of a site's main navigation. To calculate the specificity of this selector, i.e. what we would have to concoct to override these styles somewhere else in the style sheet, we need to count all the style attributes, ID selectors, classes and pseudo-classes, and elements to create a 4-figure number. There are no style attributes here, so the first number is 0. There's one ID for main nav, which must be on a UL for this selector to apply. There are 2 classes, submenu and child, and 1 pseudo-class, hover. So the third number is 3. And finally, there are 5 elements, header, UL, LI, LI again, and A. The specificity value for this selector is therefore 0, 1, 3, 5. In order to override these styles, we would need another selector with equal specificity to occur beneath this one in the style sheet, or a selector with higher specificity to occur anywhere in the file. To avoid this madness, the above selector could almost certainly be rewritten as something like submenu A hover. This could have the same visual result with a specificity of 0021, which would be much easier to deal with if needing to be overwritten at a later stage. I like to keep my specificity low and favour classes wherever possible. It reduces dependency on certain markup structure and allows things to be easily overwritten with another single class selector if needs be. This approach of avoiding ID works for me, but your preference might differ. I'd encourage you to try this approach out, but only as part of finding out what really works best for you and your team.